Pro Wrestling Weekly. For over 20 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment radio talk.
Is cooking.
WBCB presents Pro Wrestling Weekly,
the longest-running pro wrestling radio talk show in the history of terrestrial radio.
And he's obviously Michael Cole.
Call in with a question or comment at 215-949-3232.
You really do sound like
A grizzled old vet, is that where you were going with there?
Yes.
To not get you in trouble?
Oh, I'll get in trouble at some point, believe me, I'll do something.
Well, to keep you out of trouble in this case, at least.
And now, here are your hosts of Pro Wrestling Weekly, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Ooh, I'm getting good at this radio thing.
Yeah! It only took you 5.5 years.
I'm not good at it yet. I'm starting to.
Yeah.
Only slightly.
Slowest escalator upward.
Shut up!
There's the sound of the bell, and we are set to go. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, flying solo today, as Twitch is currently over in Northeast Philadelphia. He is assisting with the Chikara show going on later this afternoon, and they wanted him there at noon. Yeah, so, booking versus this. Yeah, I know. Loyalty and all that. It happens, I guess. He's spreading his wings to fly closer to the sun like Icarus, and even though today it doesn't seem like his wings will melt because it's still below freezing, it'll happen at some point. Well, one thing it definitely melted was the internet over the course of the last 48 hours. Oh my goodness. Well, the Super Showdown happened over in Saudi Arabia. Good news, we didn't have any international incidents this time. Not quite as good news, well, the internet did not take kindly to the results. Let me quick go over, particularly two noted results as far as the titles, the heavyweight titles went, or world titles, universal title, all that type of stuff. Looking at it here, so in the pre-show you had Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson beating the Viking Raiders. Then you had the gauntlet match, which I found entertaining in that R-Truth continues to find ways to entertain and defy Father Time. How he does it, I have no idea, but he got beat up for the majority of the gauntlet, somehow eking out victories over Bobby Lashley and Andrade before getting disqualified. Before Eric Rowan got disqualified, I should say, and that allowed Truth to advance, but there wasn't really much that Truth had left in the tank at that point. AJ Styles made easy pickings of him. And then the final competitor, it was supposed to be Rey Mysterio, but Gallows and Anderson, they beat him up in the back. So Styles was demanding to be awarded the Tuwake Trophy, which, I don't know, is it me, or did that trophy, I know a lot of people said it on the internet, but it very much resembled the old Aggro Crag piece from the Nickelodeon Guts TV series from, probably almost a little less than 30 years ago. But that was the first thing I thought of with that glowing neon trophy that they had going on. But that notwithstanding, all of a sudden you see the legs of a long black coat and a man dressed in black walk by as both Gallows and Anderson were laid out. And it turned out taking Rey's place was The Undertaker making an appearance. Quick choke slam to Styles later, and The Undertaker wins the Tuwake Trophy. And I don't even know if he was all that thrilled about it. It was just kind of there. Didn't even bother picking the thing up, just kind of stood next to it for photo ops. Anyway, we now have SmackDown Tag Team Champions. We have new ones as the New Day lost to The Miz and John Morrison. Then a rematch from Raw, Angel Garza taking on Humberto Carrillo. and beating Carrillo in that one. Seth Rollins and Murphy, they retain the Raw tag titles. Then we had our, we knew it was going to happen, Mansoor. Ended up beating Dolph Ziggler, and the crowd a little bit more tepid this time around. I think they're kind of onto the formula of Saudi Arabian show, Mansoor gets on show, Mansoor wins. It's almost like those initial episodes of Scooby-Doo. You kind of saw how the formula worked the first couple of times, and then it became very predictable. Oh, gee, it was Old Man Jenkins under the mask the whole time. They are bright over there when it comes to the painstakingly obvious over in Saudi Arabia. And then, well, everybody said that Ricochet had no chance to defeat Brock Lesnar, and Lesnar proved them right, as it only took 90 seconds for Ricochet to lose to Brock Lesnar. But Brock wanted a payday, so, man, that was a quick payday. Roman Reigns and King Corbin, Reigns besting Corbin in the steel cage match, and even the Riyadh crowd was I don't want to say bored, but they were spent on this particular feud because it's been going on for so long. And then Bayley and Naomi in full body suits and baggy t-shirts over top wrestled, and Bayley got the victory over Naomi to retain the SmackDown Women's title. And then this is where the biggest piece of vitriol came, in that it only took just 3 minutes. Yeah, no, where's Eric Bischoff when we need him? 3 minutes for Goldberg to defeat the Fiend Bray Wyatt and win the Universal Championship. A series of spears, and I guess we can call it a jackhammer. It was clunky. He got him up and got him over. It wasn't. It looked more of a suplex than a jackhammer, but nonetheless, Bray Wyatt going down rather quickly, and I think it's rather transparent to the entire wrestling world, unless there is some sort of a WrestleMania swerve, that this is setting up, and in fact it has been announced, Goldberg defending the Universal Championship against Roman Reigns. So this is where Roman Reigns can have the WrestleMania moment that they've been trying to get for the last 5 years, of Roman Reigns victorious at WrestleMania, holding the title high and having the fans cheer. So I guess they figure rather than have him beat Bray Wyatt, who was extremely popular, and risk getting booed once again, that having Wyatt lose the title in Saudi Arabia to a 53-year-old, while in great shape, still retired wrestler, just so he can go and lose the title to Roman Reigns. I guess that's the mindset that's better, but there's been a lot of vitriol with that, a lot of negative reaction, and well, we'll get into some of that over the course of the show, as now with Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, your two main champions, WWE is in the same position now as it was 16 and a half years ago. Yes, when Lesnar and Goldberg held the respective WWE and World Heavyweight Championships going back to September of 2003. So a little bit of a turning back of the hands of time, I suppose. And congrats to the West Wing and Everybody Loves Raymond for their Emmy wins as well. Yeah, no, that's about where that's going. As much as I could spend the hour taking the yellow out of that, I'm not going to do that, because there is some positive fervor towards, and that is tonight's AEW Revolution pay-per-view. And we'll get into that. We'll go ahead and get into that now. We'll give you the lineup here, as has been announced. So we first got the pre-show match of SoCal Uncensored against the Dark Order's Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, and Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky going for SoCal Uncensored. Then, of course, you've got Pac against Orange Cassidy. That should be... Man, I wish that I would be able to watch this event live. However, I will be unable to, as I'm actually going to be doing in-ring announcing as a little bit of a twist for a new promotion, Lucha Riot, that is starting up. It's their inaugural event is tonight down at the Monster Factory, 541 Mantua Avenue in Paulsboro, New Jersey. Should be a good time. You can at least check me out announcing in the ring. Certainly be a goodie. I mean, if you have the pay-per-view, you can always watch it later, but that's a whole nother story. So yes, Pac and Orange Cassidy, Nyla Rose defending the AEW Women's Championship against Chris Statlander, and I've hesitated talking about it because I know it's a very touchy subject, and as fun as it is to twist in the wind and do verbal gymnastics as Ted the Boss looks on, yes, I know that there has been some negative feedback toward Nyla Rose because she is transgender, and there's also been some positive feedback as well. Where I stand on it, we're moving on. That's safer that way. Just because, I'll take a page from The Rock. It doesn't matter what I think regarding it. Next up, we have Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara. Wow. Yeah, those are two of the bright future stars in AEW. So that is a match that I could certainly see headlining a year or two down the road. You've got Dustin Rhodes taking on Jake Hager. Good to see now that I believe that Hager has fulfilled all of his MMA commitments. He can commit to AEW fully, and AEW has done a great job of shedding that whole We the People past off of Jake Hager and have kind of renewed him here. And I mean, Dustin Rhodes, he's a legend. I'm pretty sure he'd be Hall of Fame bound in WWE if not for now having all this AEW stuff, so he'll pretty much be blackballed. Probably until after Vince McMahon passes. Then, we've got the tag titles, the AEW World Tag titles on the line. Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page defending against the Young Bucks. And, people are definitely torn on this one. It should certainly be an entertaining match. Wrestling purists may not like it, but it'll certainly be entertaining and high octane for sure. Then you've got the grudge match of Cody against MJF. They've been looking to get at each other for a while, and now this will be their chance. And then the AEW World Championship, Chris Jericho defending against Jon Moxley. Man, that one, just top to bottom, the card looks great. And I'm looking forward to catching the reactions, and seeing where things go from there. So we're going to take care of our first little bit of business here, but we'll talk a little bit more Young Bucks on the other side, as they've got something newsworthy coming up here. Also, a little more news in a follow-up from last week regarding Samoa Joe. Also, a little bit of life entering in and augmenting art in this case here, as while we try to use wrestling to get away from major stories, sometimes those major stories in the world tend to penetrate things, and that seems to be the case here. As we'll get into that in a little bit. Also, a major AEW star that was injured but not going to be out for the pay-per-view. We'll tell you who and what happened there. Also, some more trademark turmoil, and we'll talk about that. Also, a memoir coming up from a couple of WWE Hall of Famers, and we'll get into some of that negative feedback regarding the Saudi show. Plus, we got a look at the local scene from Ed from Northeast Philly. We'll get to him right on the other side of the timeout. This is Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
Hi, this is Dr. Lee Piccarello inviting you to tune in every Friday morning at 8 a.m. to The Head Game, a must-listen show for athletes and coaches of all levels and ages. Mindful Athlete Training in Newtown, Pennsylvania is a mental circuit training program that prepares the athletes to perform at the highest level of today's game. Athletes get into the zone faster and stay there longer. Tune in every Friday morning at 8 a.m. right here on WBCB 1490 AM and throughout the world at WBCB1490.com.
You won't see termites crawling across your floor, but thousands might be devouring the wood in your walls, weakening the structure of your home. For over 50 years, Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley has been in the exterminating business. If you think you have a pest problem, they're the experts. Call them today at 215-639-5455. That's 215-639-5455 for TPPC. Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley gives your home or business peace of mind, knowing your pest problem is in their hands. Located at 1560 Bristol Pike in Bensalem, they use only EPA-approved material applied by licensed technicians. Call Termite Proofing and Pest Control of the Delaware Valley at 215-639-5455.
All commentators heard on WBCB express their own views. Their opinions are not necessarily those of others on WBCB, including the staff and management.
I'm Henry Carpenter, a certified elder law attorney, and we're Bucks County Elder Law. Today, I'd like to introduce you to Kevin Floyd, our senior estates paralegal.
Hi, I'm Kevin Floyd, the estates paralegal. As part of the planning during your lifetime, I assist in the preparation of the estate planning documents every person needs. A general power of attorney, a medical power of attorney, a living will, a last will and testament, and maybe a trust. You have a lot to think about at this difficult time, and the process can often be complicated and confusing. From probating the estate, preparing and sending out required notices, gathering asset information, preparing and filing the inheritance tax return, and finalizing the estate, I'm here to make sure that everything is done correctly and on time. Let our office take the weight off of you so that you can focus on what's important during this time. Your family and friends.
We invite you to call us today at 215-493-0727 to schedule a free consultation, to join us each Tuesday at 9 a.m. for Senior Legal Strategies right here on WBCB, and to visit our website, www.buckscountyelderlaw.com.
Got the Luigi death stare from Fearon, so we might have to...
I didn't give you the Luigi death stare. That's not true.
You're breaking kayfabe.
Breaking kayfabe. I'm going to break something else during this commercial.
There we go. That's what I like to see.
And now, more Pro Wrestling Weekly with your hosts, Fearon Derry and Lucas DeSangro.
Are we getting into that controversy again?
I know how it feels, and it's not fun.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, flying solo today. Twitch is currently, well, he is helping out with Chikara at the Wrestle Factory in Northeast Philadelphia. That's coming up a little bit later today. They're stem the hemorrhaging of, well, this is the name of their title and in no way reflects anything here at WBCB. It says stem the hemorrhaging of polka, and I think they mean polka dots because it does have that on there here. But, yeah, so Twitch will be a part of that show in some capacity, and they asked him to be there at noon for the show later this afternoon. So whenever a booking calls, that means that... yeah, I'm kind of cast off to the side. It is what it is. What can you do? Anyway, looking at we'll take a look at some other things from the local scene, courtesy of Ed from Northeast Philly. Ed, welcome to Pro Wrestling Weekly.
Good afternoon. Is he going to be wearing the Dusty Rhodes T-shirt?
He didn't let me in on anything regarding that, so I don't know for certain.
I know he's probably listening to this.
You sure about that? He doesn't even listen when he's on the show, let alone.
I didn't say that.
That's fine. If there's actually heat with it, he'll talk to me about it later, I'm sure.
Anyway, did you see the promo last night from SmackDown?
I will admit I did not, as I had an announcing gig that I was at over in Bensalem.
A wrestling gig?
Actually, not a wrestling gig. Yeah, no, well, I can talk briefly about it because I don't want it to turn into an ad, but it's the first of a game show series that is being done over at the Broken Goblet. And they needed a game show announcer, and who better than me, a longtime aficionado of game shows, and yeah, they had done the Not So Newlywed game, so that was a lot of fun. They gave away a nice prize at the end, probably valued at right around $10,000, and yeah, it was a fun time, and I can't wait until a few months from now when they do it again because they're looking to do that every quarter. But yeah, so that was why I wasn't able to follow along with everything that occurred last night for the most part.
Anyway, it's a 3-on-1 match for the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, I think.
At WrestleMania? Maybe, I thought it was for Elimination Chamber.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I wrote it down wrong.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're looking to flesh out WrestleMania as much yet because, oh, by the way, there's a WWE pay-per-view a week from tomorrow here in Philadelphia, and they have not done much to really anything about it.
Now they'll probably be having the tickets fly out the window now. They have some good matchups.
Well, so far, I mean, it's good that you mentioned that. So far, there was, prior to the Saudi show, there was only one match that was announced, and that was the Raw Women's Championship #1 contender match, and that was an Elimination Chamber match. So you have Natalya, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler, Asuka, Ruby Riott, and Sarah Logan. Since then, all stemming from last night on SmackDown, there were 2 more matches added to the Elimination Chamber card. One of them, yes, the 3-on-1 handicap match for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Braun Strowman defending against Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro and Sami Zayn.
And the tag team belts in the Elimination Chamber match.
Yes, the SmackDown Tag Team titles, the recently won SmackDown Tag titles by The Miz and John Morrison, they're being defended in that Elimination Chamber against The New Day. They're essentially getting a rematch, as well as the Usos, Heavy Machinery, Lucha House Party, and Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode.
I think the Usos might take it.
Well, we'll see. I'll have the prediction certain to go wrong next week for the pay-per-view, because I would certainly hope that they're going to have more than just these 3 matches advertised. If not, then it's going to look bad on Philadelphia because, if nobody showed up for Philadelphia. Well, yeah, you announced 3 matches, and 2 of them you announced a week and a half prior to the start of the pay-per-view. It's almost as if they took Philadelphia for granted of, it's Philly. They're a passionate fan base. They'll show up for anything. We could have somebody come out and make Brown in the middle of the ring, and people would applaud it. No, it doesn't quite work that way.
Yes. I don't know if that's an A show or a B show.
Well,
the way it sounds right now, it sounds like it's going to be a B show.
Well, the issue is anything that is within a 3-week time period, high or low, of one of those Saudi Arabian shows become a B show by default. Because all the effort was focusing in on this big payday from this past Thursday, because they know they're going to make that $40 to $50 million, as compared to maybe a couple mil for whatever pay-per-view they're having here. So yes, they're following the money trail. It just means that here in Philadelphia, a very passionate fan base, they're going to get a lackluster, kind of thrown together at the last minute type pay-per-view. And we've seen that here with 3 matches being advertised, 2 just last night, for a pay-per-view that is 8 days from now.
Sasha Banks is going to be in New Jersey on March 7th from 2 to 4 p.m. at Cherry Hill Mall at Foot Action.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of appearances coming up.
Drew McIntyre in the area, too.
Yeah, Drew McIntyre is going to be not too far here from the station, in fact. I believe it's it's over at the Oxford Valley Mall. I want to say with Dynasty Sports.
Yeah, Dynasty Sports.
Yeah, that'll actually be a week from today. That'll be on Saturday, March 7th, and that'll be from noon to 2 over at Dynasty Sports in the Oxford Valley Mall.
And they have a convention in, I should mention that now, it's up in upstate New York, Big Event 18.
Ah, yes, the Big Event 18.
And a couple of WWE guys on it. Undertaker, Strowman, Bret Hart.
That's all. Yeah, that's all next Saturday as well. Here, as I'm taking a look. I mean, it's such a hike from here, though, and it's not like I can really. Yeah, it's not like I can do the show and then travel up because it only goes until 3:00. By the time I get up to East Elmhurst, it'll be over. So it's a little bit of a challenge there. But yeah, Gangrel's going to be there. I see the Undertaker they've got there. Braun Strowman, Bret Hart, Kevin Nash, Sergeant Slaughter, Tito Santana, Mr. Hughes, the Killer Bees, Terry Funk, the team that was formerly known as the Ascension.
Your body.
Yeah, I'm scrolling down here on the page. Yeah, I see they have Charles Wright, or the Godfather. They have him shown here as Papa Shango, but Jamie Noble, Deborah McMichael, Alex Riley, Chuck Palumbo, Nunzio, the Orient Express,
Paul Diamond. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Well, yeah, I mean, they have the one that Scott Hall's set to be there. Let's see here, Francine, Psychosis, Demolition are set to be there. I mean, it is a big event, to say the least. Barry Horowitz, Cowboy Bob Orton, Rockin' Robin, Jake the Snake Roberts, Tony Atlas, Funaki. Wow, it just keeps on going here. Bill Apter, Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, Abraham Washington, Kevin Sullivan. Oh my God! Jacob Fatu's in there. Cortez Castro. So yeah, there's quite a few names for those traveling up that way. So I mean, because there is so much going on with Elimination Chamber being here next weekend, that does lead to a lot of appearances and things of that nature here in the tri-state area.
WWE's in State College, PA tonight with a 7:30 p.m. bell time. March 7th in Allentown.
Yep, they're hitting the local areas here. I mean, it's not that far from Allentown to Philadelphia, so they'll be able to be all set up for the pay-per-view.
Baltimore on Sunday as well.
Yep, just hitting those mid-Atlantic spots there.
Northern Tier is this afternoon at a 2 p.m. bell time at Tom and Joel's in South Valley.
Yeah, they've been getting a lot of play as of late.
Yes. And I think they also have, in March, they have Modern Vintage at the end of March at Tom and Joel's. I should have more information next week on that.
All right, we'll look forward to that.
And AEW's doing their rounds too. March 25th in New York and Philadelphia in April 22nd.
Yep, they're coming back to Philadelphia for another edition of Dynamite. Should be a goodie.
And I'll mention the convention next week at the ECW Arena. I'll have all that information.
Sounds like a plan. The next Icons of Wrestling Collector Fest. I think, isn't that going to be in April as well?
Yeah, April 11th.
Okay, yeah.
With the House of Hardcore that night.
Yeah, we could look a little bit more into that. Give time for some more advertised names to make the rounds.
And then you said Lucha Underground or Lucha Riot?
Lucha Riot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a new promotion that is making its debut tonight at the Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey.
Somebody's trying to get a hold of them to do a show here in Philly. I'm sending one of my associates down there to talk to the promoter tonight. I hope.
Oh, it should be it should be a good time. I mean, if they see me there or know me, I can certainly put make that connection, as I know the promoter. I've known him for a long time, and it should be a goodie.
And I hope to have Drew McIntyre on next week.
Well, I was gonna say. I hope. Well, I was gonna say McIntyre's gonna be. He's gonna be busy doing the deal there. I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case
50-50
here.
shot, then.
Yeah, it's either a yes or no. That's for sure.
Yes. I know that feeling. I was trying to get that one female wrestler the one time, and I didn't even know the promoter was standing behind me.
Yeah, that's why I don't necessarily recommend that. That's just while I appreciate the effort, it's better to play safe than sorry. I don't want to ruffle any feathers, get any heat, or anything of that nature.
You learn the hard way sometimes.
Ain't that the truth? All right, Ed, well, thank you so much for chiming in. We'll catch up with you next week, and as all the local stuff coming this way for Elimination Chamber. All righty, so we got a little bit of time here before the timeout here. We'll get into all that vitriol on the other side here, as it's rather entertaining, so that's why I kind of I'm holding that off here for the next segment. But in the interim, AEW, they issued a press release Monday regarding Nick and Matt Jackson, their co-autobiography, Young Bucks, Killing the Business from Backyards to the Big Leagues. Chronicles their journey from a homemade ring in their backyard to executive vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling. The book's available for pre-order now on Amazon and wherever books are sold. It'll be released this fall and retail for $27.99. And the book follows the Young Bucks' Stand Tall. It was their first book in which it followed them through an inspiring story that encourages young readers to follow their dreams. Interesting. And remember that injury that I talked about last week to Samoa Joe? Well, doesn't look like he'll be on commentary during that recovery period. WWE announcing that Samoa Joe has been suspended for 30 days, effective this past Monday, the 24th of February, for his first violation of the company's talent wellness policy. Now, per the policy, they're not able to give specifics as to what he was flagged for, but it's interesting timing. I mean, Joe is eligible to return before WrestleMania, but it leaves not a whole lot of time to include him in the storyline to build to a match. Although, as we've seen here, that doesn't really matter with Elimination Chamber's case, so we'll see. All right, and we'll go ahead and get this last one in here. As well, I mentioned earlier that we try to use professional wrestling as a way to escape things that are going on in real life, but sometimes there is no escape. This is one of those. Firstly, New Japan Pro Wrestling announced this past Wednesday that they are canceling all of their live events scheduled between March 1st and March 15th due to concerns over the coronavirus. A press release on the matter attributes the decision to recommendations made by the Japanese Ministry of Health. The statement reads in part, quote, NJPW has reached this difficult decision after careful consideration. Ultimately, the health and safety of our fans, staff, and wrestlers is our highest concern. We remain deeply appreciative of your support of New Japan Pro Wrestling, end quote. So that leads to thoughts and concerns, and it was actually something that was asked as WWE executive Stephanie McMahon. She was in Tampa on Thursday and asked whether the company is ready for the coronavirus just weeks ahead of WrestleMania. And she told TampaBay.com, the health and safety of not only our fan base but also our superstars really does come first. We don't want to put anyone in a bad situation ever, regardless of the circumstance. Those are not risks worth taking. Now, they say that, but they still go to Saudi Arabia twice a year. So, the health and safety, it sounds like a corporately forced line in this case here. Whether they actually fully believe that, I don't know. But one thing that we do know when it comes to WWE is
it's all about the money. It's all about the money.
So, whether the health and safety does come first, maybe it'd take something where they go a little too far in greed for that to actually be true. Meanwhile, WWE Executive Vice President of Special Events John Sabror also commented on the situation, saying, given the number of live events that WWE does, it's constantly monitoring global events. There are active and ongoing discussions at play internally, like there are in any sector of American business and certainly families as a whole, so I think those will continue. I don't know. For me, it's, there's this whole coronavirus thing. Yeah, but it's WrestleMania. We have tons of money invested. All right, show's on. That's I think, the extent of the discussions, but who knows. All right, coming back, we'll get into some of the post-Super Showdown vitriol. Also, we'll talk the trademark turmoil and tension, and an interesting NXT note as well, as something kind of went awry from what was expected. We'll just leave it at that. All that and more here on Pro Wrestling Weekly on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com.
What was the first U.S. presidential inauguration ever to be photographed? Louis Daguerre was generally credited with inventing the photograph and introduced his daguerreotype in 1839. But while the daguerreotype worked well for still portraits, it was still not ideal for photographing large crowds and events. Back in 1857, while the U.S. Capitol was still under construction, it was John Wood, using a wet plate collodion camera, who first photographed the inauguration of a U.S. president, James Buchanan, our 15th president. What's it worth? In 2016, Sotheby's sold a photograph taken only 4 years later at Abraham Lincoln's first inauguration in 1861 for $27,500. Auctioneer, appraiser, and home downsizing expert Mike Ivankovich hosts What's It Worth? Ask Mike the Appraiser radio show. And you can tune in on Friday mornings on WBCB 1490 or on the internet at WBCB1490.com.
Everything you wanted to know about funerals and planning but did not know who to ask. Tune in Mondays at 9 a.m. to everything you wanted to know about funerals and planning, being brought to you by Louis A. Galzerano III Funeral Home. Call 215-945-8484.
The Selective Service System presents ways to keep guys out of trouble in 2 minutes or less.
The pictures of your girlfriend making the just about to sneeze face you were gonna post online as a joke? Probably should delete them.
Another way to keep yourself out of trouble in 2 minutes or less.
Register with the Selective Service System. It's the law for men turning 18. Not registering could mean not getting your driver's license in most states.
Register with Selective Service at sss.gov.
Pro Wrestling Weekly presents Today in Wrestling History, February 29. On this date in 1992, WCW held its Super Brawl II pay-per-view. In the main event, Sting pinned Lex Luger to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. On this date in 2000, WWF SmackDown was taped in Trenton, New Jersey. In the main event, Rikishi and The Rock defeated The Big Show and Triple H in a tag team match. On this date in 2016, WWE Monday Night Raw aired live from Nashville, Tennessee. In the main event, Alberto Del Rio fought Dean Ambrose to a no contest. This has been Today in Wrestling History, February 29.
Hi, this is Jim Cornette, and you're listening to Pro Wrestling Weekly with Fearon Derry on 1490 WBCB.
Welcome back to Pro Wrestling Weekly here on 1490 WBCB and online at WBCB1490.com. Fearon Derry here with you, flying solo. Twitch is down in Northeast Philadelphia at the Wrestle Factory in Chikara. He is going to be a part of that show, and then doing double duty as he'll also be a part of the Lucha Riot show, Let the Riot Begin, from the Monster Factory in Paulsboro, New Jersey. I'll be ring announcing for that, so I'll actually get to see him for a change. Much to his dismay, I'm sure. All right, other tidbits here. Well, actually, we'll save that for a moment. So, yeah, there's a lot of negativity with Goldberg, the 53-year-old Hall of Famer, defeating Bray Wyatt to win the Universal Championship. And, well, one superstar seems to agree with the negativity coming out of it, as well as from last night's SmackDown. So a fan on Twitter took umbrage with the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions in The Miz and John Morrison losing last night to the Usos in a non-title match just one day after winning the titles in Saudi Arabia. The fan had put an arbitrary complaint post noting, "You booked your brand new tag champs to lose clean in a non-title match? Are they trying to completely destroy their characters? Hashtag SmackDown Live." Bray Wyatt, who was not tagged in the tweet, responded simply by saying yes. And, well, I guess maybe it's because of the direction that Wyatt's going, as they're trying to rebuild him by putting in a match against John Cena, but he apparently agrees with fans who say the company is tearing down their characters based on that tweet response. Now, the contrarian argument to that is you could always put in the built-in excuse of jet lag from having flown from Saudi Arabia to Boston in a day and not really having a chance to adjust. I mean, I think in this case, I can understand the negativity because we've seen it before, but this is something that, even from a storyline perspective and a real-life perspective, makes sense. You know, you're not going to necessarily have them defend those titles after being in Saudi Arabia the day before, but if they had a bit of an off night because of the lengthy travel, the time zone difference, everything of that nature, yeah, it's understandable they might be able to be upset based on some jet lag. So, I don't know. That I at least look at it from a realistic perspective, and I know that having flown from here to Germany, I know the next day I wasn't exactly right, and that was a 6-hour time difference. This is a 7-hour time difference. So, yeah, things can certainly be thrown off a little bit. Now, Wyatt did have more lengthy, poignant remarks following his title loss, tweeting out yesterday morning, quote, "Life is a circle. No matter what beast you make of yourself or how bright one side is, inevitably the dark side comes again. But the beauty of the circle is, round we go." It's very poetic, isn't it? Now, further fallout from the Super Showdown, WWE putting out an interesting statistic based on Goldberg's win. Goldberg is the first ever WWE superstar to win a world title after being inducted into the Hall of Fame. And he's the 8th person to win any championship following their Hall of Fame induction. Wow. So does that mean... I mean, if they didn't have Goldberg and Reigns, would we have Goldberg and Hogan again? You know, just so Hogan could get the title one more time, brother. Yeah, it might be a bit much, considering that the leg. You know, he's got the artificial hip going on by this point from all those leg drops all those years. But yes, the backlash is definitely real. WWE Creative Humor putting out a tweet noting that Super Showdown was all about building new stars like Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, and The Undertaker, who, by the way, are 42, 53, and 54 years old, respectively. Also, actor and longtime wrestling fan Macaulay Culkin. Yeah, you remember him, Home Alone, Home Alone 2, Richie Rich, among others. Well, he responded with a couple of tweets, the first simply saying amen to the building, quote-unquote, new stars like Lesnar, Goldberg, and The Undertaker, and the second in the thread said, "I've just canceled my tickets to Tampa Bay," indicating he will not be attending WrestleMania. And, well, apparently Goldberg caught wind of it and had a little back and forth with Macaulay Culkin on it. And, yeah, basically, I guess his response in typical "don't be a bully, be a star" fashion was to call him a dork. Yeah, called him a dork. Okay, well, keep staying classy there, Goldberg, I guess. I was trying to pull up the exact tweet here, but yeah, here we go. Duly noted dork, and he has a thumbs up and an angry face emoji. And then Culkin responding back with, "Just don't try to tombstone me." So yeah, they're going back and forth just a little bit. Others who weren't too positive on things. NXT star Matt Riddle. He's been constantly outspoken against Goldberg. He tweeted out, "Willie G has been watching his Broserweight tapes. P.S. Sweet Brohammer for the win." Yes, Riddle utilizing the jackhammer move of his own and calling it the bro hammer, and he's he also had a little bit of fun at the expense of Goldberg holding the edge of his title up with his teeth and kind of having the belt dangle in front of him. That's something that he and tag partner Pete Dunne have been utilizing, and both he and Dunne. Well, yeah, he also shared a photo. Did Riddle of Goldberg looking at a bro fan sign in the crowd. So I don't know. Is he? I don't know if he's trying to set up for a match with this, or just trying to get him to head out to pasture, or what exactly he's going for. Riddle's tag partner Pete Dunne noting that how Goldberg held the title the way the Broserweights do, and he wrote, "Big Broserweights fan confirmed." So I don't know how much of this is just kind of trolling one-upsmanship, or how much of this is legit back and forth tete-a-tete. It's hard to say. Other NXT stars chimed in, though. Velveteen Dream saying, quote, "The Dream takes no issues with the return of Goldberg, but to use the bro hammer? Come on, Bill, what are you thinking? Hashtag bro's gonna get you." Well, wrestling moves, especially finishers, are not intellectual property. It's not like they're setting up for a match between Steve Austin and Kevin Owens because Owens is using the stunner now. Or make it a triple threat and throw Johnny Ace in there, Johnny Laurinaitis, because he was the one who first came up with it, the Ace Crusher. So, there's innovation, and sometimes there's borrowing. It just happens. And Tyler Breeze, oh man, he joked about Goldberg's jackhammer not exactly being the smoothest or cleanest, saying, quote, "Bill may have a hernia after that." It was a little rough. I don't, for what reason, I don't know. I mean, maybe it was just, well, I don't know. It's hard for me to speculate. I mean, you're talking about, while again Goldberg is in great shape, he's 53 and hasn't wrestled full time since 2003. There's something to be said for that. Just might have been a little blown up. I know if I were to get into a ring right now, it's been 3 years for me, I'd be sucking wind after about 30 seconds, which is why that match lasted like 3 minutes. I don't even know if I could last 3 minutes in the shape I'm in. Round is a shape, by the way. All right, some other tidbits here. Week 3 of the XFL, declining ratings once again, averaging just over 1.6 million viewers with a game each on ABC, Fox, ESPN, and FS1. The first week of games averaging 3.1 million viewers, with 2 games on Fox, 1 on ABC, and 1 on ESPN. And then week 2 averaged just over 2 million with 2 games on ABC, 1 on Fox, and 1 on FS1. So I don't know. Will the decline continue? Will it finally level off? We'll find out this weekend. And the Wednesday Night Wars Week 22 went to AEW. Numbers down for both companies compared to last week. AEW up 865,000 to 717,000. So well over 100,000 more watching Dynamite. But still, both down from the 893 and 794 from the previous week. So I don't know. Maybe it's just not a good TV week in general, perhaps. It's hard to say. All right, a couple of other tidbits here. So AEW champion Chris Jericho, he needed 7 stitches, did Le Champion, after being cut during the final segment of Wednesday's AEW Dynamite. The wound was caused by a Jon Moxley headbutt. Jericho tweeting, quote, 7 stitches courtesy of Jon Moxley on AEW on TNT tonight. My bad, Mox. I let my guard down. Not going to make the same mistake twice on Saturday at AEW Revolution. Your day of reckoning is coming at the hands of Le Champion. I love that Le Champion that he does. It fits nicely with the whole little bit of the bubbly. Jericho, and this is something that I've also seen as well, is people criticizing those who praise AEW and Chris Jericho, who is their heavyweight champion and is 49 years of age. But here you have Goldberg, who is 53, and kind of saying, well, what's the difference between the two? Jericho is and has and is continuing to wrestle on a full-time basis. and is continuing to make those around him better. Goldberg has not wrestled full-time since 2003. That's a long time. And it's something, as I mentioned earlier, that is transparent in that really the only reason he is there is to be a transition from Bray Wyatt holding the Universal title to Roman Reigns getting it at WrestleMania. I would be shocked if Goldberg somehow came out of WrestleMania holding on to the Universal Championship. I could make that a prediction certain to go wrong now because it can't possibly, can it? Are they going to hitch their wagons to, I mean, heck, while we're at it, why don't we bring Brett Favre out of retirement and put him on the Eagles, you know? I mean, where does it end? I don't know. And talking about it earlier, tension growing between WWE and the Revival as they plan their departure from WWE. The trademark battle continues to grow. Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson, they made their intent to leave WWE once their contract expires. They've made that well known. But now it looks like WWE attempting to stifle the pair's post-WWE future. Last week, Dawson and Wilder applied for trademarks for the phrases "top guys," "say yeah," and "no flips, just fists." Days later, WWE went in and registered trademarks for "the mechanics" and "no flips, just fists," but without a comma after the word flips. Yeah, it's getting real petty, to say the least. Now, the Mechanics name is what Dawson and Wilder were called during their early NXT days before they were named the Revival. So, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to go considering, well, Wilder and Dawson filed first, but WWE, I could see them greasing the trademarkers' palms. I don't know if that's a legal thing to do, but all's fair in love and law, apparently, when it comes to money. It's all about the money. And Triple H, Paul Levesque, announcing to the Full Sail University crowd on Wednesday that the March 11th edition of NXT Television will be broadcasting live from the WWE Performance Center as opposed to Full Sail University. That's because NXT TV's usual home of Full Sail University is unavailable that night due to a school function. He framed the March 11th event as Fan Appreciation Night, and the company gave away free tickets. When Levesque had mentioned during one of his media calls that Full Sail would not be available for an upcoming show, the thought was that NXT would take the show on the road for a week. Now, while the Performance Center show could be fun, a road show would be an interesting barometer to help determine whether running in a larger venue in front of a fresh audience could be beneficial in their weekly ratings battle with AEW Dynamite, considering that in the 22 weeks, NXT's only won 4 of those 22 weeks. Yeah, so hard to say there. And lastly, WWE personalities and soon-to-be Hall of Famers Brie and Nikki Bella, they're teaming up to release a memoir. Incomparable will be released through Simon & Schuster on May 5th. Now, given the timing, I would imagine that it won't have their Hall of Fame induction experience in there, given that that's 1 month prior to the book's release. Although I don't know how quickly they churn those things out anymore. Maybe I'm thinking old day printing press from 40 years ago. I don't know. I'm not that up on the novel scene. All right, so now with that, we got a little less than 2 minutes left. That means it's time for...
Birthday!
Well, we took a look here. It's February 29th. It's Leap Day. So looking at professional wrestlers that were born on February 29th, well...
We ain't found shit!
Yeah, so we're going to just go straight to the Brucey bonuses. So... even that I had to do a little digging. 3 overall, and I don't usually like to do it, but one of them has passed on already. But again, rare circumstances here. You know, the last time that February 29th was on a Saturday was 1992. So, yeah, we'll cross that bridge again if we need to in 2048 here on WBCB. Hoping that I'm still here. All right, on this date in 1916, Frances Rose Shore was born. The singer and television personality known for 80 charted pop hits in the 40s and 50s, and also noted as a 1970s talk show host known professionally as Dinah Shore. She had passed away in 1994 at the age of 77. Now to those still with us, on this date in 1976, Jeffrey Atkins was born. The rapper and television personality with hits including Always on Time, Mesmerize, and Wonderful, known as Ja Rule, turns 44 today. Yeah, how's that for a throwback? Although even my chiropractor had mentioned that today was Ja Rule's birthday. Who knew? All right, and on this date in 1984, Mark Foster was born, the singer, songwriter, and musician, best known as the lead singer of the band Foster the People. He turns 36 today. All the other kids with the pumped-up kicks and all that. Ted's pumped up. He's got the Country Roads coming up next. Spotlight on Tim Conway. Should be a goodie. Play us out, Nutsy.
1 o'clock in all's well.
Serving you better than ever.